about the workshop with our good friend TaVia. And I'll let you know a little bit more about her. But this is a really, really exciting workshop, and really just the importance of what sustainability is, the basics, how it affects us in the Antelope Valley. And so we're really excited to do that. But let me tell you a little bit about Ms. TaVia. So TaVia is a community leader and policy advocate. The organization she leads is a backbone for the Antelope Valley AIM, which is the African American Infant Maternal Mortality Initiative, and a Village Fund recipient, engaging community members in community leadership and development, community-centered work, and policy advocacy. In addition to her role as a leader in the community-centered engagement, she is an experienced fundraiser exceeding 60 million in funding in 2023 for various projects she has co-led and supported. She's passionate about empowering communities to engage, influence change, inspiring her to show up daily. She is a Weingarten John W. Mack Fellow and a California Women's Foundation Solis Policy Fellow alumni. She is a wife, a mom to 5 children. I know she looks like she's 20. 22. She's 22. In her free time, she spent homeschooling her 3 youngest children, having movie nights with her husband, crafting, being creative, and running around town with her kids to the recreational activities. Her motto is, have the audacity to be seen. And most importantly, I really want to focus on the diamond that she is here in our community. I don't think I've ever met anybody more passionate about policy and advocacy for our community as TaVia is. So please help me welcome Ms. TaVia Wooley.
I have like the 1997 Chicago Bulls introduction, if anybody remember that era, basketball, the lights and all that. So thank you for having me. I'm super excited. So just a few things that I am super duper passionate about the Antelope Valley. Let me be very clear. I am up and down the state of California, and I rep the 661 part, not Santa Clarita, the 661 Antelope Valley, very hard. Like someone asked me, is that a game? I think, yeah, we doing it. So that's how much I'm very adamant about the Antelope Valley receiving the resources, its fair share of the resources that are spent in LA County, that community organizations in the Antelope Valley, in addition to the big orgs, all the way down to the boutique orgs, all the way down to the mom and pops who are doing the work, receive funding to continue to do the work, and that the narrative of the Antelope Valley shifts from, say AD ain't nothing there to we run this. And so what I'm going to share with you is pretty much the blueprint that I have done for the last, I would say 3+ years, which also led to the $16 million in funding in 2023. So let me clarify that 16 million. First off, I didn't get 16 million, okay? Otherwise, I wouldn't be working, okay? But I am the executive director of a nonprofit, and for the nonprofit that I lead, I personally fundraised over $1 million in 2023 for the nonprofit I lead. I have successfully fundraised about $3 million of allocated funds to come into the Antelope Valley for various projects. And then collectively, all of that is 60 million. So the other monies are countywide projects and statewide projects that I have co-written. So I've spent the last 2 years understanding sustainability and where the money comes from and how to get it. And one of the big things I really want to demystify is you do not need to have some fancy degree. Okay? You do not need to have some fancy degree. You don't need to speak fancy. You don't even need to dress fancy. But what you need to be is very passionate about whatever you are passionate about. And so what I'm going to share are strategies to support the sustainability effort. Now, the reason why we're talking about sustainability is the Best Start initiative, like many other initiatives, are funded by large funders, which might be a county government agency or a private foundation. And so I'm just giving you this little tidbit before we start into that. And while the money is good, the money is good. but the money is not forever. And so whenever we're doing community focused work, we want to start always being mindful of concurrently planning, what are we going to do when the money stops? And so what I'm going to train on is how, as individuals, a part of coalitions, collaborations, nonprofits, or mom and pop, whatever category you fit in, these strategies will work for you to start getting on the radar of how to get funding to continue the work once the big dollars start to dissipate for whatever reason. There's a lot of reasons. So on the agenda, we're gonna talk about the training agreements and what to expect. Introduction and background. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. How did we get to this point? We need to understand historical social context of why we're here, defining sustainability and the values of community collaborative work, community leadership and strategic partnerships. I believe anybody who is a person in a community is a community leader. If you have the opinion, so let me get some qualifications, because we all got opinions. If you have an opinion about what we need to do in our community to see positive change, and you attempt to do something on some level, whether it's in your own home, by teaching your own children, or volunteering at the school or the church or wherever, then you are a community leader. The days that are gone in which we have one central national leader and we all waited for them to rally us. Every community needs a community leader. Those community leaders coordinate and collaborate out for the city to the county level to the state level to the federal level. So if you're in this room, I'm just going to assume you are a community leader. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, I should have said this when I was up there, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands, please help yourself to any snacks.
Wow, snacks.
And just for housekeeping's purposes, the bathroom is when you walk down this hallway, at the end of the hallway, you do a left, the bathrooms are right there. So just wanted to let everybody know. Sorry.
Food, eat, be merry. We're gonna talk about next steps. How do you get prepared for the funding opportunities that are there? All right, so here are the ground rules. This is a safe space for communicating with me and other participants. All right, I like engagements. So I'm gonna be looking at y'all, I'm gonna walk through the aisles, I want you to talk to me. Okay, I want you to talk to each other. This is not an I talk at you and that's how this goes. This is let's engage. So please feel free to engage with me directly, raise your hand. Or if it's like the timing works, just start talking, whatever works for you. Ask questions along the way. There's probably a good chance that someone else has that question or concern. And so if you're willing to speak up, they're willing to be like, yeah, I thought about that too. If you've ever been in a meeting with me, I'm the one that's gonna ask 50, 11 million questions. I have no problem asking questions. If we do not ask questions, then we do not know what opportunities are out there. So get comfortable with asking the questions. And I know sometimes it's very scary, so I'm gonna give you one of my tricks that I do when I'm in a room full of important people. Important people. They think that, I mean, they kind of really write checks. I'm like, oh, I must have blinked and missed what you said. Could you explain that for me? Did y'all hear me? I must have blinked and missed what you said. I got nothing to do with it. But people usually laugh and then they're like, sure. Or I'll just say, for clarification purposes, can you explain that? Or can you repeat that? Can you share why? That way people are disarmed and they're more likely to share the information. But you're always entitled to ask questions. So I ask a whole lot and I expect you to ask me something too, okay? So here I am, that's me. Places I've spoken, Best Start Summit down at Calendar, the Mental Health Symposium, City of Hope. That's a good picture of a good year. I know I'm a little bit there right now, but don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. I don't have any updated. So again, I'm a community leader, professional speaker. I think fun fact, and most people don't know, I own a production company. We actually do documentaries. When I say we believe in telling the community story, that's how much we believe in telling the community story. I started a whole production company. And of course, I'm a nonprofit leader. So here's the thing, because when I said y'all gonna engage with me, I need y'all to engage with me because I want to know who's in the room, what you already know, what you don't know. So I would like for you to state your name, whatever your preferred name is. If you don't really know your government name, give me a nickname. It's cool. I'm not gonna tell you my family nickname. Your organizational title, if you have one. If not, and you're a community member, say you're an awesome community member. That's all that matters. And who do you serve work with or is your target audience? That's super important. And I want everyone to listen to everyone who is saying, who do they serve? Who's their target audience? Okay? Because we're gonna discuss more of that a little bit later. So I'm not gonna start, I'm starting that. You know, because I'm the right kid.
Let me do that. My name is Karina. I work at Penny Lane.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm the housing piece manager there for Imagine Village One. The older building, not the new one. They have a new one opening up soon.
What did you call it?
Imagine Village.
Oh, okay, in Palmdale.
In
Okay.
Lancaster.
Lancaster.
In Lancaster, yes.
Housing,
Housing, so.
certain age group housing.
It goes from 18 up to whenever, they pass.
Okay. Oh, that's the right one there. Good to know.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. You about to be my new best friend.
Yes.
Okay, who wants, I'll give a choice. Who wants to go next? Okay.
Good morning, my name is Guadalupe Arias, and I'm the program manager for United Friends with the Children, and my target audience to serve youth, foster youth from 6 up until they graduate from college. We have counselors who visit them on a monthly basis. We provide support services as tutoring, we go to run college trips. Our main focus and goal is to really ensure that our youth have a strong relationship with their adult lead, their counselor or anyone who's in the program, as well as others in the community who have.
I love it. Okay, yes. I'm looking at you.
No,
Come on now.
I know. Okay, I'm Tony Beaton, I'm with the probation department from Hudson County. I know. You moved on, okay. So I serve, youth on probation, but also serve the community, and I advocate for these kids and the families so that they do better, get the resources that they need and move on out of the justice system and maintain stability in their life.
I love it. I got my son here. That was my training ground, y'all. They have me right there. Please do. I'm gonna jump back to this side and then we'll go around.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Alvarado. I'm with the Palmdale School District, and I've been serving parents and youth for the past 11 years.
Hey, I know you. Now you wanna skip over or you wanna introduce? It's up to you.
Cause I was just like, I don't know exactly what to say, cause in my head, I'm hearing so many aspects, but anyways, my name is Kaya, but I say Kaya because it says so mouthful. My organization basically is myself,
Okay.
simply because, at one point I was here at the school district. In another aspect, community liaison, but I'm just trying to figure that all out. Who do I serve? Basically, I don't wanna say self-serving, but again, I'm going back to that. Because there's a need, specifically for myself to uplift me at this moment. And basically, my target audience will be as the mom of 2 and a previous educator into that, so it's for the children initially. However, again, I bring it back to me because I'm stuck in that, over 25, under 65.
Right, that's how I think. I won't take out.
So yeah, me, yeah,
I agree, 22.
I'm 22.
back to me.
I mean, I got a 21-year-old son, but yeah, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I love that. And then we always gotta start at home with ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh,
Good morning, here. My name is Annie Ray, and, the name of my organization is Terrific Kids. And, my target area is, family and children. One of our programs that we're really, promote here in the Navajo Valley, it is, child abuse, awareness and prevention. And I've been with, Terrific Kids, we are 20th anniversary this year. And your very young week, child abuse awareness walk has been going on for 18 years here in the Navajo Valley. And I'm so glad to be here because I want to make sure we get some kind of contact, because I would love to see more of us in the community, continue to unite together, because this Navajo Valley itself has been having more and more death of child abuse here in this Iles Valley. So I want to be able to create a more environment with family and children, like so many leaders here today, so that we can know how we can really help families to start loving their children and being great parents.
I love that. So I started my professional background as in probation, 22, I don't know, man. Went over to DCFS, I'm a recovering social worker, don't tell nobody, okay? So, and I work the full circle, so I totally understand.
One other thing, and just yesterday, that the name of the organization for walking area. My grandson, he turned 23 yesterday, it's been 18 years in the child. So that's the cost that you to do that particular program.
Understood, understood, I'll share more about my story, and that's why a lot of us come to the work. Can I jump to you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Hilda. I work here at Children's Bureau under a program I run called Connecting to Prosperity. I service specifically Lake Los Angeles, but I can't serve the entire Antelope Valley. I work with families who have children under the ages of 0 to 5. My title is a child development educator, so I work with the parents specifically to prevent child abuse through education.
I love it, and I love that you focus on LA.
Yes.
Okay, right, so. Okay, my, all right, yes.
I'm Denise Fawcett, the name of my organization is A Plus Petition for Life. Who do I serve? I serve parents and children. My target audience would be families, because I feel that it's important that we start our children young on top of health and nutrition, and that way as they grow older, we can lessen for the disease and the mental illness that our children deal with, because also it's back to what we eat and what we put into our bodies. So it's important that we as adults start our children when they're babies, eating right, so that they don't have to get the diabetes, all the rest of that, that many of us in this room have ended up with, because nobody taught us. And if we teach the children and the parents, they will learn, and the children will adapt to a healthy lifestyle. My granddaughter has, she's almost 18. So I know it works.
Of course it does. What's your name?
Denise Fawcett.
All right. Dave.
So good morning, I am Dr. Megan Sapp. I am, the executive director for Eden and Love Foundation. And who do we serve? We serve, disadvantaged youth and those adults connected to those youth.
I love it. I love how you find that. And then looking at distinction and doing it. So thank you. Steve?
Good morning. My name is Steve. So I work for Children's Bureau. I am a Antelope Valley Emerald now we resource. It's a brand new pilot program where we are bringing all the resources, services, training, to control issues. Under this program, we have 3 community academy resource centers. My team is called the Roman Team. We stay, we work in the computer room with the communities like making a way with the and wherever the Antelope Valley is there. Also, we work with APA, that's our other co-partner, and they have a walk-in center. We also are online, and then I was at the church in Central Foundation Christian Ministry, where they remain my group for youth and for caregivers of parents, like our active children. We serve everybody. So this program is here for the strength and activity because of the death of but and because of the over reporting for lady neglect. Between the neglect and the employed, but there's not really a distinction in that when you make a report. And so what we're trying to do is give people the resources and services and things that they need to avoid being reported because they're poor. So we also work with providers. We try to see if you're at capacity, we go to different parts to try to bring providers up here because we are limited, but we are still strong and minded like that.
You said bring outside events?
Yes.
I would not talk about that.
No.
But I don't know, you're still
You don't have it, we need it, we're going to have to come up here.
I appreciate that, I appreciate that.
So, yeah, if anybody needs an agreement where they find it, it doesn't matter how old they are, how young they are, how rich or.
He's supposed to say KUI,
Yeah.
so he's the key.
Ooh.
Hey, bars.
But yeah, so if you have the resources for, as workers, you feel it. Open to everybody. So, yeah. That's the big point.
And the church say, amen.
And go Lions, Stephen. Go Lions.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is LaShawna Havasu. I am the social worker for the Minnesota School District, which is in Lake LA. So I'm learning, to engage a lot of the families that we have that are underserved out there. Also looking for resources, also trying to get people out there, so we will be connecting, for sure. And yeah, just trying to help the families out there as a whole.
I hope y'all write down everybody's names and what they do, because that's really important for what I'm talking about. Thank you. I'm good. I'm good.
The community leader and I am the ELA coordinator at our school district. My purpose is to create extended learning opportunities for our youth and our students. Our student age group starts from the age of preschool all the way up to maybe 14. Like you mentioned, we are partnering with a couple of organizations locally to bring services for the students. But my goal and my vision is to also bring some of the services for our parents. That way we can engage and bridge the gap of communication, like we're saying, we're trying to support the household as a whole. Whatever our parents are learning, with our workshops, we want to make sure that the students are learning, and whatever the students are learning at school, we want to make sure that the parents have an understanding of what they're learning, and that way, over the table, they're able to have the communication, they're able to have the conversations that are needed to build a safe. The vision that I have for Lake Lake and the youth of Lake Lake is that it is underserved. A lot of our community organizations claim to SPA 1, and they claim Lake Lake, but we don't have services that go out there to service like
Shots fired.
I wanted to make sure that I did say that because we are saying them, but we're not supporting them. And so I want to say, like I said, workshops. What I'm looking for right now is a reading literacy workshop. We're also looking for people that are willing to come and host STEM activity, focused on either mathematics or robotics. And it's just so that the community out there knows that there's support, that there's meaning, that there's identity in that community. Because what I hear a lot of like is there's nothing out here, we're nothing. And that nothingness becomes their identity. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to support them, try to give them life. And that's basically why I want to here and make sure that the community understands what our purpose is. I mean, to help them with that, but also to help them.
Maria, do you want to go?
You don't have a, my name is Maria.
Yo vengo a aprender más para poder ayudar a mis hijas.
I'm here because I want to learn more and I want to teach my daughters
Porque son adolescentes.
because they're teens,
Adolescentes.
and it's very difficult during that age.
I know. I survived one.
You'll say you're
Just one. Yeah. Oh. How old are they?
¿Cuántos años tienen?
15 y 14.
15 and 14.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mercedes Johnson. I am the executive director of the Design Coalition for Group Service Black Study Families of the Full Dyad. So.
Okay.
My name is Odessa. I'm an advocate specialist with the Program Collective. Well, we serve the Antelope Valley, we're here to assist people in advocating for themselves. And, either direct them to the right way or tell them how to do it the right way, and,
So again, because we kind of system involved in DCFS, visual center special education, or any challenges with the healthcare field, I would reach out to Odessa, because she's the one who can help navigate that system. So yeah, just a plug.
yes, and I'll be looking for you guys, give me my card and try to get your things.
Yeah. There you go.
Construction work right now, the day after the rain, I'm just turning that on.
So good man. All right.
I'm Lisa, I'm gonna prepare for today.
We have one more person join. I don't want to put you on the spot, but can I get you to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah, you're pretty nervous.
But you're so wonderful.
Thank you, and you are too, thank you. I mean, Joseph could make it today, so.
Yes. STEM, because we have some STEM requests. Yes.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what organization?
And to the Valley Community Training Center, and they offer, career readiness, program training. And we're hoping that, and we know for a fact, because we've done it before, these trainings, these programs will assist, not prepare these real world type, training, and it should prepare them for, better jobs.
I love it, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Anita, that's what we can connect with Anita.
But this one, I don't remember. But, and you may all, most of you might be more, familiar with Joseph, because he's always on the call.
No, yeah, well, we'll make sure. Yes, Keith, you know,
I toured their facility last week and it's an excellent program, actually. I didn't let you hear how they gave their name and stuff, but it's excellent. He shows you every step of it. You got the stations there, they teach electronics and how to wire and everything. I mean, I was there. I ended up being there way longer than I was supposed to, but it was just so much fun, and I learned a lot in a very short time. That is an excellent program.
I love it. I'm sorry. I think we have one class, and the class was 39 weeks.
Hi, everybody, I'm Portia.
Your name, organization, title, those things, and who you serve.
I work with the Ohana Student Teach Program, I'm the manager, and
Who you serve.
we serve families with disability, and advocate for them and help them.
Special Needs Regional Center, that's another plug right there. All right, so we got everyone in here. Okay, so how did we get to this point? The pivot of 2020, y'all remember 2020, right? It was January 1st, 2020. Oh, and then somebody died in February, and all the work in May. Somebody pretty big died in February, and then like the world shut down by mid-February. And that was the great pivot. So we know poverty is a major issue for many people in Antelope Valley. And COVID made that disparity even greater, okay? And then by May, the spring, we have the murder of George Floyd, which was the catalyst for a whole new social justice movement. And then that disparity, the gaps became even larger. And what happened between COVID and this particular situation, the floodgates, and I do mean the floodgates of funding, busted wide open. Money was just everywhere, like we were running frolicking and money. If you had a program or organization, you probably could have got money because you said hi, okay? Now, like many things in the world though, everything's on a pendulum. Everything swings back and forth. So nonprofit funding is always dependent upon other parts of our ecosystem and society. Taxes can change, funding might start to dry up. priorities change. Remember, COVID was super big, 2020 to 2022, maybe 2023, and then the money started to kind of dwindle. That's just a part of the nature of the game. So this brings us back to why we want to talk about sustainability, because money will begin to start diminishing, or it'll be refocused on other areas that it have been deemed as a priority. But everyone in here has said that they work with families. And do we not need money to serve families? Let me really emphasize this. There's so many nonprofits in the Antelope Valley. Boutique, you know, small, they boutique nonprofits that are not fully funded, which means they are not receiving the finances to provide the services in the community. And that's a crime, that's a shame. Because a lot of the boutique organizations are gonna be the one that's gonna reach Lake LA, the Little Rocks, the Quartz Hill, the 132nd East and Avenue I. It's gonna be you all. It's gonna be the community coalitions, the collaboratives that are gonna remember those people. And if you do not have funding, then you cannot do your work properly, and how are we really serving families and children, right? So community focused work is dependent on outside funding, like I mentioned earlier, from the government or private foundations. Funding is never guaranteed to last forever. That's not going to happen. At times, it depends on policy. How many people are involved in policy? Oh, I see just a few little hands. Remind me your name again? Nice, sweet. Oh, because I'm gonna. For the glass of policy, a policy person, for sure. Yes. Carla, Carla's a policy person. She needs to be our best friend. If she got a work group or commissioner, anything that she needs help on, y'all need to go support Carla. Carla, Lord, Carla, it's okay. Because more than anything, policy shapes if we're going to get the money into our region. So now you know there's a room full of people who will come and work on anything you put out. Okay, so I send them to you. Okay, but I do like a bonus or anything. In trending issues, media has a lot to do with shaping trending issues. If something becomes trending, then people start to focus on that, and then that takes away from the money. Hey, you think I was gonna let you walk in here? Okay, so sustainability, I need to let you know, I want to give you the technical definition of sustainability. So according to the National Council of Nonprofits, a nonprofit financial sustainability plan is a plan that allows a nonprofit to sustain itself over the long term so that it is able to continue to support its mission. Nonprofit, coalitions, collaborative work, anything that involves the public, that's what sustainability means under that. By definition, the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. We got that? So the goal is to make sure that we are sustainable, that you are not coming out of pocket if you have an organization. That when funding leaves, coalitions and collaboratives can still maintain their work. So strategic partnerships, being strategic is the ability to lead ours in. Oh, no. I put down and call me out. No, I appreciate it, thank you. See, no calling me out, be like, hey, you messed up. Okay, sustainability. So this is my method. Sustainability requires strategic partnerships, thought leadership, and assessing for more. More stands for money, opportunities, resources, and experiences. These three things, in a very organic and practical manner, can lead to sustainability. Please do not get overwhelmed with, you gotta have degrees, you gotta know everybody in their mama, you need to know the top people. You do not need to know any of those things. If you do, that's cool. Yes. Experiences. Money, opportunities, resources, and experiences. Now let's talk about strategic partnerships, because we're gonna come up on our first exercise, and I thought we had a big poster for it in front of you. Being strategic is the ability to lead ourselves, our team and our organizations in a way that advances the organization's missions and goals and creates advantage for the long term. Can y'all say long term for me?
Long term.
Okay, Down Valley unfortunately has a history of people that like to helicopter in, drop in some money, and then dip out, and then they forget about us in a couple of years. I want you guys to always think strategically. It's not about just today, 30 days, 60, 90, in a year. It's about what we will look like in 5 to 10 years. So you need to always think about the long-term gains. Strategic partnership also means think outside of the box. Mutually beneficial relationships, not always based on affinity status. So let me say that. So affinity status is a real fancy word, which means like, there's the Black organization for X, Y, and Z. There's Spanish speaking organization for H, Y, Z, and all the other things. Sometimes you need to leave your affinity status groups and come together collectively.
Yes. Exactly.
Sometimes we need to leave our affinity status, I say all the time, I said sometimes we need to leave our affinity status groups to come together collectively because there's significant power in numbers. Has the desire to work together equitably. A strategic partnership means everybody has a desire to work together equitably. Remember back in school, we had the group projects, and there was one person who did all the work and one person did, but then y'all all got a good grade. This ain't when we do this. So strategic partnerships do not mean that. So if you're currently in one, I want you to evaluate that, and we have an exercise in which you will be asked to think about who you're in partnership with. And the circle of influence connects you to the next dot. You don't need to know everybody, but you need to at least know one person who knows somebody who got some money, some power, some status, some influence, okay? At least one person. Or someone on your team needs to know one person. But at some point, you do need to know a person. Okay, so we're gonna go to our exercise 1. We need to build common ground. So everyone in here, we heard everything that you do, who you serve, right? So please get out your little poster boards that I have with the markers. And we need to build common ground, because remember we said we're gonna step out of our affinity groups. Sometimes that's region, like location, language, ethnicity. We're gonna step outside of that. The purpose of common ground is to focus more on what we have in common and less on what makes you different. And it's rooted in target universalism. That's how Berkeley, target universalism, simply put, they found that when they removed affinity identifications, that a lot of social services programs got a lot of community support because no one group was targeted. It was focused on targeting what was the outcome that needed to be achieved. Kids 0 to 5 needed to be able to have access to help versus children 0 to 5 who are Spanish speaking descent, XYZ, they need these particular services. We already know the times that we're living in is pretty darn rough. If you didn't know, turn on the news. So sometimes being strategic means we have to think beyond the right now. And if that is getting us a lot of attention, which will disrupt our funding, then we need to be mindful of how do we present information. And that is targeted universalism, and that's out of Berkeley. Okay, so together, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. You can work in your tables, whatever is closest. Please don't feel like you gotta move the whole room. You're gonna ask each person that you're in your group these questions. What are your desired goals and outcomes for the community? Who do you serve in the community, and how would you describe them? What are their descriptions? Young, old, poor, rich, west side, east side, north side, south side, any of that. When you think about them, what do they all have in common? What is the thread, the golden thread that brings them all together? And when you think about building community, describe what that ideal community is. 5 minutes. Y'all should like me talking. Going for the 99, take 2,000. We good? Okay, so I want you can continue to work on it while I'm speaking, but I want you to wrap it up with thinking about what are the overall themes of the communities you serve? What makes them the same? What makes them the different? What is the common goal that you want for your community? Because that's where the coalition, strategic partnerships will be formed from. Okay. So when we talk about strategic partnership, everybody ain't partner material. Okay. Just like when you get, married, So everyone in here probably has partnerships, are in the process of considering partnerships, or maybe kind of like, oh, that's why I've been feeling that way. So I want you to think, don't even raise your hands, you don't call everybody out. I want you to start thinking about when you're assessing for strategic partnerships, like, should I be in one? Should I come out of it? Does it work for me? Think of this. Is the potential partner ready to mobilize? There is no time to waste. None. So if someone's like, I just kind of want to see what happens, run. And come back to them when they're ready to be mobilized, which means get into action. There's nothing wrong with it. I will see. But if you're already in action, you don't need to partner with someone who's like, I need to see. Let them see you now, and you keep moving forward. Prepare to play the long game. Remember I said this is not about 30 days, 60, 90 days. It's about 5 and 10 years. What will happen? So people are like, I'm about to get that money right now. We're gonna do this. That's cool. I love your energy and enthusiasm, but what's the real plan? What's the real plan? How are we gonna sustain this beyond the 6 months that we're looking at right now? Ask yourself, do you have the same work ethic? Same work ethic, same amount of resources to invest into the partnership. That doesn't mean everybody's gonna come with a boatload of money. Resources can be a lot of different things. So don't think that people gotta always come with cash. Do they have more time to give? Maybe you have the money. They have the time and volunteer hours. Maybe someone knows the people. They're willing to introduce you to the people who have the other resources. Are you equally yoked? Understand the work or the potential to expand their understanding. Okay, everybody think they know something. Right? But do you really know something? Have you taken the time to research it beyond social media? who can be your friends? And here's the caveat. Google whatever you need to Google, check the references, cross-reference, and find out what are the opposing views. Know your thing, know it well. We all support families. But do you know the real issue with the system of DCFS? I know because I used to work for them. I know about probation too. Do you know? There's so much free information, there's no reason to be willingly ignorant. And what that means is, you don't have to have a college degree to know anything at this point. It's on the internet, but please cross-reference your information. And the partner has skin in the game. What have they invested in it, okay? Next up, so here is an exercise. Assessing your own readiness. Now, this isn't a group work, this is more of a personal deep reflection. Ask yourself, because I just had you know, look cross-eyed folks, give them the bombastic side eye and be like, I'm partnering with you. But now I want you to give yourself the bombastic side eye and ask yourself, are you ready to be in a strategic partnership? Am I ready to be to mobilize? As evidenced by what? If you say, yeah, I'm ready to move, what does that look like? If Carla said, we are ready, we need 10 organizational sign-on letters of support, do you have your letter ready? Do you know 9 other organizational leaders that can write that letter? When we say mobilize, are you really ready to do something? Can you do something in the next 24 hours? Because sometimes funding be like that. So can you do something in the next 24 hours? Am I ready to compromise? Oh my gosh, I'm stubborn, y'all. I'm a Capricorn. I want it my way, like Burger King, right away. Don't play with me. When you're doing collaborative work, strategic partnerships, you have to be willing to compromise. If you have no desire at all to compromise, the strategic partnerships might not be your thing. But I am going to tell you, there's a lot of money out there for collaborative work. I like to call it strategic partnership. They'll call it coalitions, they'll call it collaborative work. It's strategic partnerships, okay? If you're not willing to compromise, you will miss out on a lot of money. Have I established my core beliefs and principles that guide the work? Why are you doing it? What is your why attached to? What is the evidence that supports that why? What is the evidence that supports that why? Because when you get a coalition, partnerships, everyone's gonna have a thought about something. And if they speak a little bit better than you, maybe they got a degree or two, it might be easy for you to be swayed by it because you're like, I know more. But they actually might not know more. So are you solid on your core beliefs and principles that guide the work that you do? And what have I invested into the project? Again, we just squinted our eyes at other folks. Make sure you deeply reflect on yourself. Deeply reflect so that you can address it, fix it, adjust, and move on, and start to get to the funds. Okay, so that was our strategic partnerships. Now we're talking about thought leadership versus community leaders. So as I started this conversation off, we're all community leaders, right? Because we're doing something in the community, showing up at our wife's job to support her. That makes you a community leader. Look at you. You know that's great. You are doing a good job. Thought leadership refers to the position of an individual or an organization as an expert in a specific field. It involves generating innovative ideas, insights, and opinions and sharing them with others to influence, inspire, and lead the industry or community. That's different than a community leader. Community leader is what you do, many positions you hold. But being a thought leader is essentially saying, I believe that the issue with DCFS is that we don't have enough resources in the region to support all the families that have some type of DCFS involvement. And I believe the solution to that problem is that we need at least a $10 million grant per year over the next 5 years to support capacity building for organizations within the Antelope Valley to service that community. That's a thought leadership position You have thought about it based on your information, observation, your subject matter expert, and you said, this is the solution. And you want everyone to know and to get on board with this solution. I'm known as usually a social justice equity policy person. I have opinions that everybody who is breathing should be involved in policy advocacy. I believe should be taught to children at all levels. Everyone should be talking to their representative about the new bike lane they want, the money they need in the area. It should be simple to go up to RX parents and be like, what's up? How you doing? This is what I need. And I need you to do that. I believe that. I create programs around it. I speak on panels about it. I talk to everybody and their mama who will listen. That is my thought leadership. What is your thought leadership? You're not just a community leader. How will you influence your strategic partnership? And everyone a part of your strategic partnership should have some level of thought leadership. And you don't have to have the same. Like you shouldn't have the same. Okay? Any questions about thought leadership? That's a term that we don't quite hear so much in the Antelope Valley. Yes.
So how do you balance being a thought leader without causing?
It's called good trouble. Okay, it's called good trouble. That is a really good question. Without causing trouble, okay. Well, the reality is, so most of you all work for an organization, okay? And so organizations have the way that they want things done. You can still put your little sauce on it though, okay? You can still put your belief or sauce in it. In fact, your work is probably informing you on what your thought leadership should be. Like maybe your work is outreach and engagement, right? And we talk about how much Lake LA doesn't get enough. So maybe you're gonna be in your organizational meetings nicely with a smile, don't cuss nobody out, said I told you not to do it, don't do that. Okay? But maybe when your organization is like, yeah, we service the whole Antelope Valley. Actually, point of clarification, we only have one service provider in Lake LA. You reflect the truth back to them. There's gonna be hostility, right? That's a whole different training I need. But reflect the truth back to who you work for. I always say do it with a smile. Okay. But people cannot ignore the truth. So that's how you be a thought leader within an organization without being disrespectful. I always say stick to the facts, man. Anybody know Friday? Dragnet? No. Okay, only one. I ain't that. You know Dragnet?
Can you be a thought leader and also require to be comfortable with discomfort?
Oh, yeah, I love that. Yeah, you can't stand out to the folks in the front.
But I was thinking, I think the thought leader needs to be comfortable with discomfort. Like, it's a hard question. And people are gonna wanna step back and like push away, like, oh, I don't wanna answer that, you don't wanna talk about that. But there's a reason, right? Something is being ignored. There's an issue that wants to be brought to the side, oh, we don't wanna deal with that. But the more we bring it up, the more we get comfortable with discomfort, the more likely we are to then engage in that conversation.
Do you know I get invited to go to meetings to be that? I don't know, they know I'm gonna ask the question. I'm gonna say it out loud, I'm gonna say what y'all was thinking out loud in the meeting. That's why I get invited. I know our society is very much comfortable with just following line. But we need to be good trouble. We need to be a reflection of the truth, the reality. Okay? So get comfortable with being uncomfortable, being that one. Now, when I was a kid, because I've always been this way, I was labeled, has issues with authority figures. Always in somebody's office. But my mama said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's also why I probably didn't get kicked out of school, because I said it with a smile. But I also stated the facts, the truth. So I would encourage you to definitely, it's okay, you will get paid big bucks to be that person. You do it for real, legit. Just sidebar, I do research, UCLA, CSUN. I'm being brought in on a UCLA research project. Yeah, don't be jealous, but y'all can do it too. Do you want to get paid per hour to give my opinion? My opinion, you ready for this? $300 an hour just to get my opinion. That's my money. Varies depending on the project and at what level I'm considered the subject matter expert on. Remember I said I'm the subject matter on equity. I'm gonna call out when it's not equitable. Everybody that like to use that word in the organization, you invite me to the table. I don't really like this. Okay, so be the good trouble, reflect the truth. You will be valued at some point. It wasn't always that way. But you know, even though people, frowned up when I spoke, they still kept inviting me back. So just show up, be knowledgeable. Please know your thing. Whatever it is for you, know that. You don't need to know everything. Okay, all this matters because when we talk about funding, I get funded for knowing the Antelope Valley. I could throw some numbers. I could tell you about all the programming. I could tell you the policies. I could tell you anything, anybody in LA that typically want to know about the Antelope Valley. There's only one of the few people that will get called. I am one of those people. There's no degree that says I have a bachelor's in the Antelope Valley. I moved here in 1993. This was home. I know it. I live it. I breathe it. I work here. So please lean into what you know. You don't have to be nobody's PhD. And you don't even have to speak fancy. As long as you leave with truth and facts. Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to say, even if you're uncomfortable being, I am like you, I'm gonna speak up, I'm gonna say my truth, I'm not just gonna follow along because nothing will change if you don't have uncomfortable conversation. We already know the system messed up based on how it was built. But it is a good system if we follow how it's supposed to work. But you have to have those conversations. I'm telling you the truth, I never get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but I never stop because it's not gonna change if you don't.
It's not. And I would like to add to that. I keep emphasizing strategic. There's a time and a place when to blatantly disagree. And you need to know when to do that. That's a whole nother training. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. There's a time and a place when to push back. There are certain people you talk to push back. So be mindful that there are nuances, but for overall, you can speak the truth. Depending on the circumstances, what I would suggest when to speak it, who to speak it to, how to present the information. But how to read the room. Just a sidebar. When I have to go like to big things, or like I said, people who got a whole lot more money than me, do a whole lot more stuff than me. First thing I do when I walk into a room is I'm observing to identify who the power player is. The most important person in the room is who I am looking for, and I'm watching to see if that person is there. I can identify them, and I go start the conversation with them. So be mindful of that. All right, so let's go to exercise number 3. Community leader, you need to develop as a thought leader. So this is the exercise for you. How do you develop as a thought leader? When do we get started? Okay. And again, thought leadership leads to funding. Strategic partnerships lead to funding. Thought leadership leads to funding. These things together lead to a whole lot of funding. What is your position and what do you know? I started, some of the work I started with African American Infant and Maternal Mortality Prevention Initiative, and that's all we say AIM. Why did I get involved in AIM? I'm a mother of 5, my second son died at birth. I was that mother, the statistic that they were referring to, and I was quite upset because my son didn't have to die. So I got involved. I was a community member who had lived experience, and that's what I spoke to. I know what it's like to bury a child. I know what it's like for the doctors to not listen to you. I know what it's like for no one to advocate for you, and people are treating you like you're crazy, like you didn't just experience this. So then when the AIM initiative rolled around into Antelope Valley, I forgot, was it you, Darrell? That she told me about it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go. And that day, that was February 2020, so I remember tracking this, y'all. That was the first day I publicly ever spoke about my own story with my son. And I ugly cried. And I'm not an emotional person. I ugly cried in a room, 80% of the people in my didn't even know I'm ugly crying. So sometimes you're gonna be ugly crying, sometimes you're gonna have your face round up, but stand on that. So that's what I knew. That's what I spoke to when I started this work, is my own experience. So what are you a subject matter expert on? Lived experience is just as valuable as book smarts. Identify your lived experience. What do people always seek you out for? Remember, people ask me to come to meetings to be that person. In fact, they do that in my personal life too. Friends would have a family function and they would have like that one person who would always be me to them. They're like, "Oh yeah, you come to the family barbecue?" Like, "Yeah, I got auntie so-and-so coming." "Okay, yeah, say less." I got you. That's what I'm known for. I'm gonna stand on the side of what's right. I don't care how old you are, because you know, sometimes generationally, you're like, "Well, I'm your elder." You're not my elder, but you're gonna learn today. Okay? Identify what the gap is. What is the solution to the area that you said was an issue? Only you know that, really. Because especially if you're in probation, DCFS, working in the educational system, you're doing it day in and day out. You know what the gaps are. So write it down. And then start thinking about what would be the solution. Being a thought leader requires more work. That's how you start to get, people funding, because they're like, "Oh, you really know about this." Start to research, Google, the library, TaVia. What are possible solutions to fill that gap in your community? Okay, know that and know that well and speak it often. Connect with coalitions and attend events. Share. So once you're like, "This is the solution, this is the way." Who I just gave you in Maryland. This is the way. This is the way. When you have identified the solution for the gap that you know based on your lived experience, work experience, and observation, then you need to share that often. You need to be up somewhere teaching. When you're in a coalition and they're like, "Any thoughts?" Your hand should be going up. If you're on social media, you should be creating content about what you think is the solution. Don't just be the person that always points out the problem. The person with the solution gets more attention than the person who keeps pointing out the problem. What that would look like is, this is the problem. This is what I believe is the solution. You're not just harping on the problem. You're saying like, "Yeah, this is the problem. We know this, but here's the solution and why this will work." Okay, so create content. Speak up. Get on panels. How many people are willing to get in front of people and talk? Okay. So I should never not see y'all in meetings with your hands up. Because remember, I'm gonna come back and say something. Or I'll just look at you to me. Or I'll just be like, "Oh, what you got to say?" And your hand goes up. She's gonna call you back. Okay. Super important. You have to raise your visibility level. As a coalition, strategic partnerships, you have to raise your visibility level. If you're being quiet, then the people who have the resources that you need will never see you. I started off as one person and say like the AIM initiative, we'll just focus on that, the AIM initiative, one person in little old Lancaster. Now I work at the county level and the state level, and I'm considered one of the thought leadership partners. That's how I got the UCLA project. That's how I got a couple other projects, because that one little person who kept talking while everybody else was just like mumbling and grumbling, I stood up. This is the problem. Here's the solution based on my lived experience. This is what we need. At the next level, this is the problem. This is my observation based on my lived experience. This is the solution. This is what we need. At the next level, I said it over and over and over again. And then finally, we were like, "We need somebody from the AE. Oh, go get TaVia. You know the one with purples?" Like, there's another one. So please, are we clear on that?
Yeah.
Because there's certain people I do know in here, and I always say, "Talk, talk, 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 talk." That's why she had her eyes closed, because she know I'm about to look at her. Please talk. Okay, please share your thoughts. Concise, clear, solution focused, based on your lived experience. your observation. All right, so you've done that for yourself, like, even if you don't do it right now, continue to write that, who are you, what do you stand on? What do you believe? You need to know that frontwards and backwards. Okay, so more, let's talk about more. Assessing for the more money, opportunities, resources, and experiences. Okay, so remember we were talking about strategic partnerships earlier, right? So we know who in here does what. We know ideally what your thought leadership is, because you also talked a little bit about what you believe are solutions or common ground in the people in the work that you do. Now we need to identify, based on those strategic partnerships, who has more? Who has more? If you're partnered with a certain large organization, there's a good chance they might have money. So you might want to get a subcontract. I mean, those are options. Mini grants are options. Or they have resources. They have nice loans for low cost, for the low. Okay, that you can use for your community coalitions. There's several organizations that have those kind of opportunities. Just be mindful. There are partners who may be ahead of you in the work, and can you volunteer to build sweat equity and learn from them? That is huge. Remember I said earlier, like, do they know something? Right. You don't know everything. Right. No. And if there's somebody or organization that's further along on the journey to whatever, see if you can volunteer with them. Right. What you don't say is, can I take you to coffee and pick your brain? I get $300 an hour now. I'll send you an invoice. But if you volunteer, I'm gonna drop diamonds all day long. Like, oh yeah, then I'm probably gonna tell you that there's some money right here. Let's write a grant right now and get that. Please be willing to put in sweat equity. Because the organizations that do have the money, opportunities, resources, and experiences, they're most likely, especially out here, they're always being kind of asked to give, and there's no return. The best way you can return is to volunteer. And for me, if you're ever doing work with your partner collective, the best way to pay me back is to put into practice what I just shared with you. And that's the best thing. Because then when it's time and people from other parts of the region ask me, do you know anybody else? I'm like, actually, I do. Because I've been working with them. Because they're equally yoked. Their work ethic is the same. They have sweat equity in the game. They're playing the long-term game. So be mindful of all those things. And also just don't ever get blinded to in kind. Okay? Even big organizations don't always have a line item to give you money. Okay, but if they can offer, we'll make copies of your flyers and distribute them. Take it. We have a room, normally it's 300 hours, we're gonna do 500 for you. Take it. So don't look any of those opportunities or resources in the mouth of like, I need 10K. Go get a job. I'm just kidding. Any questions about that? So I mentioned in my bio, I'm a John W. Mack Fellow with the Weingart Foundation. Is anybody familiar with the Weingart Foundation? So none of y'all, you know the Weingart Foundation? No. No? It's a private foundation. They like to get money. And coalitions and collaborations and movements and systems change organizations. And what I heard based on everything you shared, your work aligns with that. But remember how we said you have to create and think outside the box. Because you gotta speak the funder's language. Okay? That's why I said strategic partnerships, things like that. Who they're gonna ask you things like, who are you partnering with? What are they contributing to the project? They want to know if you got sweat in the game or skin in the game too before they give you some money. But I shared that because not only does Weingart Foundation give grants to organizations or coalitions, we also have a fellowship, a 1-year fellowship. Every quarter we do a retreat at a 5-star hotel, say, oh, that you don't pay for. Weingart. A fellowship that every quarter you go to a 7-day retreat, 5-star hotel, you pay for nothing. Somebody is waiting on you hand in the
Nice.
You get an executive coach. Someone that's just gonna help you really sharpen your focus, your thought leadership, and get you where you need to go. All right. You have learning, you have a cohort of like 20 other participants who also run organizations. It's not your network that just got bigger. Oh, I didn't get the good part, because I was there too. Here they give you 25K to be there. Oh, see, y'all sure be lying. Y'all sure. You apply for it, there's a process, but it's a very simple process. The John W. Mack Fellowship. And guess what, y'all know one of the people that's in the program, like, oh, well, that's crazy. When you apply. That's crazy. If we will give you 25K towards your work, that's how committed they are. So when I say there's opportunities, there's a lot of opportunities. That's just one of my fellowships. I got enough fellowships that are like a full-time job, just on fellowships. There's opportunities, y'all. Why?
Spell that for us.
You want to know why, guard?
WERTART.
Oh, we just want to make sure we got it right. Thank you.
Not a step, you ain't got to know how to spell stuff.
Hey, right, we spelled badly already, right? So it's hardly was spelled.
So please, when you have your strategic partnership, so I found out about that fellowship because of another fellowship, because I belong to another network of strategic partnerships. I am a thought leader because I have a belief that X, Y, and Z occurs. And that led to, honestly, like, full transparency, I think I got 125K of fellowship money last year. So for me to go to places, for them to pour into me and be like, yeah, we have these resources for you. Okay, y'all, like, don't sleep on knowing that you are gifted and talented. Your lived experience is enough. You know what you need to know. You need to walk in your purpose. Right? Okay. So next steps. This is huge because I'm gonna have my emails at the end of this. You guys got the PowerPoint. I will be more than happy to connect you to whatever I have to connect you to. Identify who you need to connect with in this room and outside of this room. I'm sure in the last 6 months, you've been to enough events and collected enough business cards that there are people you need to go back and follow up with. Right? Yeah. Are the existing coalitions you need to be a part of? So I said, hey, if you do any deal with any kind of Black families that are having babies, whether you are Black or not, you should probably be connected to AIM. Probably should. There's a lot of members. You hear that from me. Just believe me until I say that. All right. Best starts. ADPH has some stuff too. Attending meetings, raising your hand, and sharing your thought leadership is how you're building sweat equity and loyalty in the game. People are going to remember you. Create your list of more and which one of your potential partners can provide support in this category. So based on all the people you're connected to, start listing people based on these categories. You know them, they know you. What do they have to offer? What do you have to offer them? More next steps. Reach out to discuss a potential partnership and make sure you are equally yoked. Reach out for partnerships. Be very clear on what the partnership is. Don't assume that because you come to Best Start all the time, that by default, you have a working relationship with whoever's in the room. Build the actual relationship with people. People will bring you in on projects. Assess what resources you all bring to the table that can support the collective work. So I hear a lot of organizations in here that work with families and children 0 to 5. You all, maybe it's through Best Start, maybe you guys are going to be very like nuanced and niche on the aspect that maybe Best Start's not focused on. But nonetheless, you need to come together and say, we can offer this, we can offer this, this is what we have, this is what we have. And then based on what is left over or no one has, that's what you start to go find new partnerships for that have those resources. Did that make sense? Okay, let's list what you got, identify what you don't have, and go find more strategic partnerships to fill in those gaps. That's that. Build your capacity building skills. So again, I'm the executive director of Housing Collective, and guess what we do? Capacity building training, skills. How to write grants, how to form strategic partnerships, how to get fellowships, all those things. Okay, so here are some immediate funding opportunities that are available at some point. Many grants, who here work for ABPH? Okay.
My daughter does.
You heard it, you didn't hear from me, but you did. ABPH has a health mini grant from 1K to 10K. 1K to 10K. I know I have one. Make sure you name drop, because you heard it from me, and got it. Please. Mini grants, children, wow, that's not, see, we don't even have that organization here, wow, that was, I butchered that one, y'all. Children's Bureau at some point, I'm not here to be like when, but at some point has mini grants. When that opens up, if you're attending Best Start, you put in sweat equity, you have thought leadership, you know what you're doing, then I'm sure you'll be able to apply for those type of opportunities. Empower the Collective, that would be me. We do 1K mini grants if it aligns with the work, and we provide TA support. Okay?
What's TA? Sorry, what's TA?
Technical assistance. So that's would be like the grant writing, how to develop as a community leader, how to develop your policy agenda, those type of things. Yes.
How do you apply for that?
We haven't opened it, we opened it in the spring. So yes. But ours, some mini grants are like, you can just get the money. To get our grant, you have to take on the TA support. Because the goal is to build you up so that you can keep the team to get funding. It's not meant to be a one-time thing, okay? And then this is the big one. Community Partners Grant, Community Partners Flexible Fund. Oh, City of Hope. That releases in the spring, City of Hope, 5K grant. That is a very easy grant application that can be done by a coalition of organizations. Now, 5K might not sound like a lot, but to have City of Hope as a partner,
Hello.
Yes.
talk about names. Yes.
Question, because, I kind of offered to help an organization to do their grant writing. They're very, boutique at the moment. And what would be the requirements for these type of mini grants?
City of Hope and Animal Valley Partners for Health are health focused, okay? But remember, creativity, think outside the box, a lot of things can be associated with health. Systemic racism impacts health. Being poor impacts health, okay? Mental health impacts health, okay?
I could talk a little bit about the Best Start mini
Mhm.
grants. Last year, Best Start was able to provide 28 grants to local smaller organizations for $8,000 per grant. And the requirements with that, your work aligned with the 0 to 5 and working with families and our community. Very simple. This year, I'm not sure the number that we are gonna do it, but we are doing it again. And one of the things that we're gonna be doing is all of our grantees will be coming together in May. We're gonna do kind of like a gallery of what, the work that has been done by each one of the grantees. And we're gonna invite other funders. So we'll keep you posted because you'll wanna be part of that. You wanna, get an idea of what that looks like. But, let's start mini grants for you.
So the mini grants are typically not very difficult to apply for. So, but you gotta get creative, just because it says, you need to provide, it's a mental health grant. And you're like, well, I'm not a therapist. So that's not how you think about it. That's not how you think about it. You think a lot of things impact our mental health, so maybe you're providing therapeutic interventions that support the reduction of stress, depression, anxiety, and building community. So think about those things, okay? And if you're a new organization or a new coalition, your best bet is to go after the smaller mini grants to build up your funding credibility. So that you can apply for, that's how the Empowered and Collective founded January 21st of 2021. started. We went after the small ones, build up our funding credibility, that matters. In order to be able to go up to the bigger dollars, that matters. So don't, the 5K, 1K, don't, you know, like, yeah, it's not like 85K, because this one requires a little bit more work, but still not a lot. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And of course, community partners, this is literally the grant that's called Community Partners Flexible Fund, up to 85K. But you need to be servicing, your service domain is children 0 to 5. So families with children 0 to 5, and it needs to be focused on systems change-ish. Are we clear what systems change is? If system changes, if we know this is broken, what intervention, what program are you going to launch to help change that system? We don't need to reinforce a broken system. So even if you provide direct services, like we're gonna be providing diapers and formulas to parents who don't have enough money. That's your intervention, but the real issue is, why don't parents have enough money to take care of their children? Okay, so even if you are a direct service provider, there is a system root issue that you really need to be addressing. And there's a lot of funding specific to systems change work. So your coalitions, the collaborative work you do, funders, they want the most bang for their buck. They want to know they're not funding just one organization. Those days of like giving one organization a whole lot of money is done really. They want to know, who are you partnering with? That's what I'm saying, get your game plan. Who are you partnering with?
They wanna know who's disrupting systems.
That's why I'm under the table. What you want? Like, people are dope. I'm there. That's something to say. All right. And lastly, thank you for your time. Here's my email. Follow us on Instagram. If you have any last questions, I can answer. Yeah.
I like to stay out here around. And I'm going to like leave the county.
Yeah.
And now you're flourishing. And I'm just so happy to get that.
I want to say thank you for this, because sometimes, you know, as leaders within that community, we feel isolated. In a sense that, in my experience, like you said, in your experience, life experiences. Our program started uni overwhelming not too long ago, 2000, I was here, and Tony, and sometimes I'm feeling lonely. You feel like you're not the truth of the community, you know what you're supposed to be, and this just validated my daily prayer that, you know, that there is a community and people come together to really not feel that you're isolated or alone from your, you know, your own organization, you know, LA. And everything LA, and you know, so that is so much, you know, that needing that need for continuing that collaboration and reaching out to things recently. I needed this.
And thank you. And if you are very clear on what you do, you can send me an email on what you do, so that I can keep an eye out on when funding and such things like that are coming out. I share the information, I don't gatekeep the information. They be getting money. Okay, you gotta get TaVia, you gotta get the because if you guys don't have the money, you're not able to really serve your families. I saw Anita first, right?
No, I just wanted to say thank you as well. I know that, it's very, like you said, like a lot of people need information, they gave you, where the money is. And I myself, when I offered, to grant write, I was like, I've never done it. Should I take any grant writing fund? I've never, known where to research. And, this is a great starting point, because now I can go ahead and go back to that organization that I believe their vision in. And like you said, it's about volunteering, about giving your time, trying to make sure that they understand that you're willing to support the vision in cause, without expecting anything back. And, I hope that everybody that has met me and that's seen me work understand that, the passion that we have behind the animal family, it just continues to grow when we see people that are so strong and that are, you know, speak up. When we're told, you know, maybe you're being too much, or maybe you're asking too many questions. But at the end of the day, when we see people that are leaders, that are thought leaders, and are able to build this partnership, then we're able to start making the changes. So I do want to thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Would we be getting, you did awesome job, great. Would we be getting each other's contact information?
Right.
I don't have access to that, so I don't know.
Again, or.
Yeah, what we can do is with everybody having signed in and we have your contact information, if it's okay with everybody here, we can share that with everybody here.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, the one you did on the, if you haven't done it, we can still do it before you leave, so we make sure we get it there. Great. But just once again, please, a huge. Appreciate our partnership, and, you know, one of the things is that as Beth started doing a lot of this work and really bringing people together and really trying to, like you say, rebuilding the community,